We are live. We are absolutely live. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is draft night. It is, for some people, they're going to call it Ollie Hollands night. I don't know if I'm talking too early, but it's great to be here. Pommy, I've got you with me. Mate, you've just become the draft expert. Well, to be honest, you were, and it's only taken people 4 years to realize it. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, mate. I'm good. We've gone vintage. Look, we've got the old hoodie back. We've got the tartan blazer. We are in 2020.
Can I just say the fact that our clothes fit us 4 years later is a testament to us.
Mate, yeah, I mean, I'm starting to go grayer though. Like, as even though the lights are starting to get grey, especially on my left hand side. But this is ironically the first time we've had a decent pick since we did our first ever draft together.
Yes, it is. Decent picks, but also I noticed last night when we were doing the preview, I noticed just the way we were talking about strategy and like we're not so tied to the idea of players becoming stars anymore. Like it's a bit more cutthroat now. It's like, all right, well, if so and so doesn't make it, we draft this kid, he takes over, and then we move on. That's one thing I really noticed about the mentality this year around the picks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the beautiful thing this year is probably the first time in a long time that whoever comes in today doesn't have to play round one, doesn't have to be a superstar. Usually when we're doing this, they have to be the game changer. They have to take us to the next level. But it's just literally nice and easy. It's taking best available and, doesn't really matter if they're a superstar tomorrow. And that's a really nice position to be in because this is what good teams are in. So exciting times for Carlton.
Yeah, totally. We're going to have a bit of fun tonight. The watch-alongs, as we always do. We're going to have got Lek Dog that's going to join afterwards. He will take my place after roughly our pick, and we'll basically be here for the entirety of the evening. I believe there's 30 picks to go through tonight. Is that right?
I believe it's the first round, they say. So I guess we'll get 20, 18 and ties, 18 and 5 the Suns.
Okay.
It depends how long they drag this out because they've just shown GWS and Brisbane. So obviously Brisbane know there's going to be a bid early. We hope it's pick one.
Yes.
So someone does the right thing, but it is the AFL, so someone will be nice.
Yes.
But they will drag the Badgers' arse out of this, to be honest. It's like, honestly, you're going to get 18 picks, 20 with the father sons, and they are going to drag the arse out of this.
As they do. As they always do.
Well, like I said, Let Dog, who joins later, we did the full draft and with trades, and we knocked that out in 2.5 hours with 30 minutes of bullying each other. So that we had a stop clock and everything. We did it officially, so there was no filler. It was just us picking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've sat here and done a Brownlow watch along. We've sat here and done a tribunal appeal watch along for 4 hours and 45 minutes. So you know what? If the AFL want to drag this out, yalla, let's do it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we are experienced in making entertainment when there is no entertainment. To be fair, so I mean, honestly, the AFL could literally put a black screen up, and we managed to be able to make something out of it. So,
nah, exactly right. Good evening to all of you here. I saw a very special comment here. I mean, they're all special, but Junior says, "What's goody, fam? I'll be tuning in whilst on my honeymoon in Samoa. Can't wait to watch it. Good to see you also."
Mate, I do love him, apart from his country knocking my country out of my own World Cup in the rugby. So, sending my love to you, big junior time, mate.
Cop that. So we'll get a few more hellos in here. Who else have we got? Oliver's here. Bugs, Bugs is always here.
Oliver's all the way in Hawaii.
Is that right?
He is. Yeah, my inside information tells me.
For those that are tuned in at home, I'm going to assume most of you are from Australia. If you're not from Australia, let us know in the comments, where are you tuned in from? I'm curious to know. how many people we actually do have here who are not from Australia. And if you are from Australia, let us know where. Long time watcher, first time subscriber, Anthony, mate, welcome. Appreciate that. Nick is here. Always good to see him. Lek Dog is also here.
He always is here. Lek Dog has no life.
Yeah, Lek Dog's gonna join us afterwards. But let's just get a bit of set the scene. I mean, the top 10 has come, it's gone, it's changed. Who do you expect to go pick one? We know that Ashcroft's probably going to be the first player to find himself a home. So what do you think happens after that?
Well, I mean, Ashcroft should go pick one. GWS should do the right thing and make Brisbane burn picks, but we don't expect that. We expect them to be nice, especially after their tweet today. It sounds like they're going to give Cadman the Brucey bonus and do that. We expect Ashcroft to come then. North Melbourne would be foolish not to do it. The one that we all want to look at for Carlton fans, a lot of rumours that we're trading into might trade down. I don't think Carlton will trade down, but there's a great merit, and they may do, dependent on what happens with pick 4, and that is held by our good friends, Essendon. Essendon will, I think, will have a lot to say in this draft. If Essendon in pick 4 take Philippou, I think that's a little bit early, but that means Status will slide, which means then gives Geelong that option. Jai Clark is rumoured to go there, but they have met with Status recently because of these rumours that he's sliding, which then could cause a snowball effect. And you could see a situation that we know the Doggies have been heavily invested in Elijah Hewitt. They've been heavily invested in Buslinger, and they have met with Holland. Their list manager has come out and said key positions are a target for them. So that could make a very interesting thing, particularly if Carlton have an inclination that Jed Buslinger will go 11. Now, there could be merit that Carlton slide down there, because that would say that Carlton's primary targets are there. There's another gentleman as well, Ed Allen, that Dogs have had late interest in. There's been a lot of rumours about Ed Allen as well, as Carlton's one of backups. So 4 is going to be a really interesting thing, because logic would say Status, then brain would say Philippou. But if they do look to trade that out and get some good targets, could be interesting for Carlton, and Nick Austin may have. And if you watched our draft with Lek Dog, that was something I did. I took the risk as Carlton's list manager when I saw some people go a little bit earlier than I thought. I took the option to slide down back in myself to get one of my 3 targets. So could be something that Nick Austin will look at, but 4 is a very interesting pick for Carlton.
So that's where the action, or I guess that's where the potential domino effect could begin because the first 2 or 3 picks are pretty much going to be clear, you think?
Yeah, I'd say North would be mental not to take Sheasel and Wardlaw. Wardlaw is exactly what they need. He's Jason Horne-Francis with loyalty, and Sheasel is the super. Bit of a drive-by on JHF. I'm probably not welcome in Port. I've slagged JH off ever since he came into the draft. So, but Sheasel as well, a lot of talks about, and I would like to send my best wishes to Sheasel. The messages he got. If you're making Holocaust jokes in 2022, there is something psychologically wrong with you. Like literally psychologically wrong with you. So sending my love to Sheasel. I'm sorry you're going to North, but one hell of a footballer is Harry Sheasel.
Yeah, I was across what happened today. It's just something, to be honest, knowing the world that we do live in and knowing, the darkness that is there. I mean, it's just something he's going to deal with for the entirety of his career. Like, you can just see it. You just see it already. I mean, it happens, happens already now with our Indigenous athletes, the racism, the fact that we're going to have, one of the, a Jewish player picked so early in the draft and be, so highly covered is remarkable. I actually went to the to Yad Vashem on my last day in Israel on my trip, which was Thursday. So Yad Vashem is the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem. Mate, you gotta. There are certain places that you should go that really hurt to go to, that really hit you, and that's one of them. And so when I read the stuff today, I mean, it's awful. However, I'm sure it's not the first time he's read or heard such comments, and there's this hope that one day the world will and society will become better educated with such themes and issues, and it's just a hope for now. And until then, we kind of just wait until the next one, right? Until the next person makes a comment or sends a DM or a death threat or something like that. And that's unfortunately the world we seem to be living in right now. But yes, all the best to Sheasel, and would have loved to have him at Carlton, not going to lie.
What an inspiration as well. There's not many Jewish communities in the AFL, and we herald our Indigenous groundbreakers, and we herald our Irish players that come over here and break new ground and open up opportunities for Europeans. I mean, the fact that Australia has such a large Jewish community, and there's a few Jewish players in this draft as well. That's a really exciting thing, and I always find that quite sad. I find that quite sad because the Holocaust is something very poignant to our family. A massive part of my side is traveling community. My nan was deeply affected during the war. Her side of the family, her grandmother perished in Dachau concentration camp. So it's something to me. I just can't believe anyone would even joke about that. But that's something that it's so recent as well. There's people still walking around this day who have experienced that. You know what I mean? I can maybe understand the naivety on other subjects, because not many people are around when some of these major things happen, but that is so recent. Do you know what I mean? In human history, it's a generation. Do you know what I mean? It's a generation away almost. It's heartbreaking. So sending all my love to Sheasel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if he does surprisingly end up at Essendon, I'll still send him some love.
Yeah. Now, look, tonight will be fun, as they always are. We'll be a little bit more casual, be a bit more interactive with the audience, those of you tuning in. I'm just going back to see where everyone is tuned in from. Got Melbourne, we've got Warburton in Victoria, we've got Amsterdam, LA.
Amsterdam, is that a stag do, or is that a living?
Yeah, love that. Wait, what time is it in Amsterdam?
8 a.m, I guess.
9:13 in the morning with Blue Abroad on the screen. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, cool. So let's go back over two things. Firstly, you did touch on it just now, but there are quite a few more people that have just tuned in. So what are we looking out for tonight from the standpoint of potentially trading a pick, and what do you think would have that? What do you think would need to happen for us to say, you know what, maybe we do trade for pick 14 and 17 from Sydney?
I think that if you get to the situation that Carlton will be very ear to the ground of what Dogs are doing, because I think when you look at the picks, the Dogs would really answer the question if Ollie Hollands is numero uno target, which we suspect. If they think that Bustling is a huge shout, they probably press the button then. If that's Nick Austin will have a good feeling. You got to remember he is a Dogs man himself, so he'll have his ear close to the ground, and we'll know that. I'd say it's very likely, though, that if you actually look at Carlton's pick 29 and you bottle that up with a future second, that's actually worth more than points than pick 14. So that could be a very high likely scenario for Austin. He could maybe look at that. I don't think Carlton will hold much value on the future pick next year in pick 1, their first rounder. I think when you actually look, if Carlton are going to be serious as a football club, top 6 should be the aim. It shouldn't be top 8. It should be top 6, upper echelon. You look at the players now, obviously some will slide, some will rise. The majority in that area are midfielders. And by the sounds of it, Carlton are targeting that heavily now. So, ergo, Austin then will ask the question, 14 and 17 Sydney own. If there's an option to purchase both of them, they can get 2 midfielders in Hewitt and Hollands and potentially then get that Weddle, get that key position player locked away in the back of the van, and happy days. And I can see that happening. I don't think Carlton will slide down. unless you see two people rise into the top 10. There'd have to be two, and Startus would have to be one of them guys close to that pick. And I reckon if Startus is around there in that 9, yeah, Carlton will bail out, I reckon, because chances are it's going to be Startus, Hewitt, or Hollands if they're there when Carlton come to pick. And I think that might be, and it could happen because for some reason Startus is falling.
Yeah. So what causes someone to go from a, top 5 to 7 pick and then in the last 48 to 72 hours slide? Is it literally just interviews? Is it, what kind of late mail could possibly come the week of the draft for a player to slide that much?
Well, in history will tell us Devon Robertson. The rumours were Devon Robertson was a top 10 right up until the evening of the draft. And then there was inclinations that combined with his field kicking, which wasn't very good at the draft combine. He suffered from nerves. There was inclinations as well that he may be a flight risk from Perth. Put a lot of the Victorian clubs on who were plethored in that draft. And Brisbane, they backed their mail that he wasn't a flight risk, and they traded up when he got to 21, which again is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. So it backs you in. A lot of them rumours, it's like the Philippou rumours at the moment. Oh, he's only saying he wants to stay in Victoria because he don't want to ruin his draft class. You go back and watch them interviews, and my hand on heart says 2 of them, if I was an interstate club, is a flight risk. Philippou isn't one of them. Do you know what I mean? But there was a few, the way they answered the questions, get the inclination that they'd move, but it wasn't what they really wanted. So that's one thing. Another thing is simply how they transition in the interview. That's why it's interesting with Philippou. The rumours will have come from somewhere that he's arrogant. You got to remember these arrogant, egotistical rumours were there prior to any combine, and they've heaped up since the combine, which I think is very unfair. We talk about Sheezel getting bullied. Do you know what I mean? I think that's just as bad. The fact that some of the things I've seen about Sheezel, and some people haven't spoken to him, is horrible. But that it happens that way. Do you know what I mean? Some people do. It's genuinely something like that, though, or a late injury. So it should be interesting who falls, because someone will fall.
They will. So we've got, what do we got here? Nicky Del Santo doing the...
Nick Del Santo is Gil now.
Can you extend the time? Because he just said every club's got 5 minutes, but there's just no way it takes that long. I remember this. This is a drawn out process.
Yeah, there's Ollie Hollands on screen. Our sexy little man. But yeah, the 5 minutes for a pick as well is as close to a piss take as you can get. But then obviously they get the additional 5 minutes if they match it, and they have that chance to bash out a deal as well, if they want to trade and put the pick up. So for 21 picks potentially tonight, we could be here all day.
All right. Well, I think he just said someone's on the clock, so we'll see. The second theme I want to go through, we did it last night, but for those of you who weren't tuned in last night, Pommy, you want to give us a couple of the names that we could be looking at with our pick?
Well, I mean, obviously the first one is Mr. Ollie Hollands. We've talked about him at length, obviously inside-out midfielder. We'll start on that outside area to first, but has scope to go inside, has increased that as a junior. Incredible engine, faster time at the time trial than Sam Walsh as well. So that's an exciting proposition. The other guy is the guy that's on your screen now. Is expected to go to Gold Coast, but Bailey Humphrey may drop. He's one of them guys as well that has been a chance that our Gold Coast scorned with Victorians and interstate. There is rumours on that. Obviously, then you've got players like Ed Allen, who are a bit later than us, Elijah Hewitt. You've got players like Jed Buslinger as well, the key defender. So there's all sorts of players for Carlton to look out for. We do predict, though, based on what Vossi said, you would say that the most logical are Hewitt, and Holland's around that pick in talent-wise, and then hoping maybe a Philippou does slide.
Interesting. All right.
I mean, if Philippou slides to 10, 9
jump
list
at it?
managers need firing
Okay.
now.
So Philippou's available. So like, if all goes to plan and we expect things to happen in the order that we expect them to happen, Hollands would be available when we pick. If one of these Philippou's, Humphrey is available, you drop everything and you pick them because they're that good?
Yeah. I'd say Philippou and Humphrey are the only two that could sway Cowton's mind. Do you know what I mean? Could only the two that sway it. It's a tough one because Nick Austin strikes me as the kind of guy that will have the name and will take that name and he'll have an order. So that's why I think he may do it. I'd imagine Nick Austin would have Mateus ahead of Holland, and he probably has Bailey ahead of Holland. And I'd say he'd strike if they were there. But I would say that there's a really good chance, looking at the Fox Lab here, I have Holland as exactly the 10th best talent in this draft on now. I wouldn't be surprised that he may be 13th and 14th on some people's, just because obviously there's a lot. You can read a lot into the media. The media keep talking about him as a winger. And then you hear his coach and you hear Ollie himself saying, I'm not a winger. Do you know what I mean? That's where I play at the moment, but I play large parts on the ball. I played down at halfback. I played high half forward. So that these things will influence as well. Do you know what I mean? Believe it or not, the scouting that goes into these players isn't like soccer. It's not like soccer. Some of it will be talent based on the players that they've selected, and they'll have had 3 or 4 meetings. So it's going to be a very interesting time.
For sure. George Lambrinakos has just become a member of the channel. Thank you very much, George. If there's anybody out there, welcome. If there's anybody out there that would like to join as a member of the channel.
They've traded pick 1.
Hold up.
Oh, no, they haven't. It must have been the wrong thing.
Cadman, yeah, that was the wrong graphic.
I was like, if they fought so hard to get pick 1 and they traded this out, they are the worst. But as suspected, the AFL is the nicest league in the world, and no one's bidding. And Cadman is a giant.
Just like that, the factory continues. There was another one here from Scotty Boy. Good call here. 10K is upcoming. Would love your help. If you are watching this and you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. We'll get to 10K before round 1, I would hope. I think we've got about 1,500 to go. Pommy, who's Aaron Cadman? What's the deal with him?
Well, I mean, he comes from Emmanuel College, so he's a good public school boy. GMV vet, Rebels key forward, and Vic Country. Very, very, very strong. The modern day key forward as well. He's only 195, so he's slightly undersized for the traditional role. In the leadership group for Country and GMV. Loves to work the wings as well. Very the Kerno type, the Jeremy Cameron, all them type of players that really work and try and get that conduit into the midfield. But he's also an goal kicking machine as well. He's exactly what GWS needed. And do I think GWS should have traded up to pick 1? I don't think North Melbourne would have touched Cadman with a 10-foot barge pole. To be honest, you look at their list, they have done a reverse St Kilda, where St Kilda pick up a load of outside midfielders and hope one's an inside midfielder. They've picked up a lot of key forwards and hope one of them's a ruck. So Cadman wouldn't have been on their radar. If he was, North Melbourne are the worst run club in the world, and I already think they're the worst run club in the world. So it's a big call, but Cadman, he gets his check. He's a lovely kid as well. I would have loved to have interviewed him, but I kept it cult and relevant. So, but he's going to be a superstar.
Okay. Good luck to him and them. Yeah. They got a lot of picks as well, don't they, in this first round?
They do, and that's why I'm quite surprised. We did talk heavily that Sydney are the place that you go for picks. We also mentioned Gold Coast, and the reason that we mentioned Gold Coast is I don't think Sydney, the reason we mentioned GWS is I don't think GWS need as many picks as they need. I think that at some point GWS will look at switching it up and trying to get a little bit more depth in there. But I think their earlier picks really help. And I think next year suits them as well, because they'll need to replenish their tolls down the back. They're getting a bit older. And next year, there's a lot of them. So I won't be surprised to see GWS being involved in a few trade deals today as well.
Okay. I want to give a shout out here to Malcolm. So I actually bumped into Malcolm yesterday. The first thing I did when I got back was I went to my favorite cafe on Chapel Street called Rustica. And Malcolm just so happened to be sitting next to me. And it was like the first footy conversation back in Melbourne that I had. It was great. So Malcolm, it was great to meet you in person and great to chat with you. Tommy,
I can't do that. That's so rude.
What's that?
I always criticize when the AFL do that. I know. Say, Aaron Cadman, in my opinion, they've said Tom Lynch. I think he is more a Jeremy Cameron type player. I think I think Tom Lynch is a little bit harsh. I think he's a lot more mobile than that. That could be his ceiling, though. He won't play like that now. Year one, maybe Jesse Hogan. Maybe that type of year one year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a good year. Will Ashcroft, the bid. They've got to bid this, so.
Surely. Well, it says here the bid is pending. So just explain what this means. What does a bid actually mean? Hey, Tori.
So what they're doing now is he's a father-son. So what is ridiculous about this is now Brisbane will burn picks. So at the moment, to match this, it's going to be 4 picks for them, right?
Wow. That go where, though? Where do they go?
They just literally go in the bin. So 34, 35, 38, 40, and 41, 5 picks will just be jettisoned into the environment. And then the AFL gives them compensation picks, which are usually at the back end of the draft, which will be in the 80s. So it's a very weird thing. I think the AFL, to make this fair, really need to say whatever the bid costs goes to North Melbourne. And then North Melbourne would have some surplus picks to maybe package up into a trade. But the father-son, I'd never come on this show and say the father-son is the stupidest thing in the world because it's such a part of the sport. But for me, it's something that I'm not a big fan of because I'm telling you now, North Melbourne need Will Ashcroft a lot more than Brisbane Lions need Will Ashcroft.
Yeah, it's such a unique thing that we have, isn't it?
It's unique, yeah, and I understand the principle of it. AFL is steeped in tradition and pomp and circumstance, and I respect that. I am a foreigner first and foremost. I've never come here and poo-poo a tradition, but I just don't think this is very fair here now because obviously they're going to be very lucky. They're going to get 2 very good players in Wardlaw, and then they have their pick, Sheasel, at Status. There's a lot of good players on the board, but Will Ashcroft is an incredible footballer. And in my opinion, if you ask North Melbourne's list manager, would you rather have Sheasel and Wardlaw or Ashcroft? They'd say Ashcroft, even though 2 are very good. So something I'm just not a fan of. I'd like to see it still kept, but they've got to make the deal a lot earlier than they do.
So Brisbane get their boy.
Yep, so Brisbane match the bid and pick 2. We have the wonderful, as it downloads and uploads to here. We're doing this real time. We're not like Fox Footy and they've got some melt in the background doing this.
We are producing, moderating at the same time. Will Ashcroft. Right.
There he is. And this kid here is incredible. He's an incredible footballer. He's very well-rounded. He's very versatile. He's good to go. You look at him, and Al Toomey said he's the Sam Walsh of the draft. I think that's a very fair comment. This guy finds the ball, strong on the inside, strong on the outside, not much weakness, defensively sound, offensively very apt. He is an absolute incredible footballer, and he's well-rounded. And they're saying Ollie Wines. I think that's a massive stickler on his game. I think he is more of but he will be more of a McRae type. Very well-rounded. Will start on the wing, but also can cause havoc on the ball. So, yeah, there he is. Mr. William Ashcroft is a Lion.
All right. Good luck to him. So now North get 2 picks in a row. Do we expect any, I don't know, any bids, any action over? Because we know that after these 2 picks that it's expected that there could be some action with trades and the like. Do we expect anything to happen with these next 2 for North Melbourne?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing for North because you would say that the most logical thing for them is to go Wardlaw and Sheasel. It covers both sides of the ground for them. It covers midfield and it covers high half forward line. That's the logical thing to do. And it sets them up as well because both of them guys are good Victorian boys. They're not going to run away. And I think that's a huge upgrade on Jason Horne-Francis. However, you wouldn't be surprised if someone sneaks in here, if the rumours are Philippou is going next, and they may go, well, you know what? Let's have a chance at it. And it would be interesting with the picks that are to come. Does Sydney think 14 and 17? Do we go for someone like that? We know that they're very interested in Ed Allen, Sydney. Do they maybe look at this now and think Status is going to be around here at this point? Status is a better player than Ed Allen. That's categorical. It's going to be an interesting thing, but I do think that North Melbourne, if they're serious about the rebuild, 3 and 4.
Get it done. Mate, where's Clarko? Why isn't he not in the room?
I'd imagine he is somewhere. Well, I'd imagine he's on the phone, but the pick is in. We have got their pick.
Let's see.
Mr. And Harry Sheasel goes at 3. That is very interesting, but the Sheaselmeister goes there. He's going to be an absolute superstar in the AFL. The Sandy Dragons, high half forward, he's going to be someone to uphold. He is. He's going to be a very, very apt footballer. Goal-kicking machine, incredible high IQ, a wonderful story as well, but we expect him to go incredibly well. And there is Clarko.
There he is.
Going to play with one of the best of all time.
It's a great story. It is. I think Sheasel's going to be I think he's going to be really good for the game. I think he's going to educate a lot of people on, on the Jews and the culture as well. I think a lot of people don't get. I mean, I know I didn't get that education. It wasn't until I really, lived in Israel that I realized how much more I knew and how little I really knew about what's really going on. But all the best to him.
Mate, he's going to be a very good footballer as well. He's going to be a very, very good footballer. Very, they're saying Charlie Cameron. I'd say that's probably fair. Cameron, maybe. I'd say because he has gone back into the ground, maybe a Papley type. He has the ability to really impact higher up the ground as well. And a sensational footballer. I mean, as you can see there, 8.5 contested possessions this year as well. He's not scared as well, where Cameron, you don't really associate Cameron with stoppages and things like that. Sheasel's got that direct place. He's a very, very good footballer. And I'll tell you what, North Melbourne I like the fact they've taken him at 3rd, which makes me think that they may be thinking about 4. There is a lot to think about. I know in my draft previews, I said that's a big question for them, North, with what they do straight after. Do they go Wardlaw or do they look at Status and back in their younger guys? It's going to be an interesting one, but Harry Sheasel is a shin boner, I believe you called him.
He is, yes. I believe he's the first player from Ajax to be drafted as well. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
They're not a famous club, so it makes sense. No. Do you know what I mean? It's is that how the Aussies pronounce it? They don't use the Dutch Ajax. Is that
no? Yeah, it's Ajax.
Oh, come on, people.
Yeah, I know. Down to the amateurs.
Come on, give Ajax Amsterdam some love.
Yeah. You guys at home, of the draft coverage that you have seen, I must say it gets better. It gets better every year. I think because we have more content creators now. You talk about the draft. Pommy, the fact that you interviewed these draftees this year really, I think changes the game even more than what it was beforehand, because it's a totally unbiased. I mean, I know it was Carlton related because you chose players that were not out of the question to become a Carlton footballer. But for those of you playing along at home and the coverage that you've seen, who do you think we are going to get this year? I mean, Ollie Holland seems to be the crazy raging favorite. But those of you playing along at home, what have you taken from this year? I must say I missed out on quite a bit this year. I didn't really do any reading or any research. I'm spoiled. I've got Pommy here who I can just ask questions to.
It's been good. There's been a lot more content creators. I've enjoyed that we did a live watch along, a live draft along.
Yeah, that was
George
cool.
Wardlaw is pick 4, and
There he
we've
is.
never seen a live full draft. And the AFL produced that content. We had a lot of media outlets decided to do a live watch along. So it's good to see that we're leading, that the AFL is starting to get better. The AFL is starting to get better. And this is something that we should be doing. We should be having NBA style. The fact that the last 2 games were televised on Fox Footy, but the rest through the app, we should have 100 highlights of these guys, not shitty little 20 seconds. So that's one of them things that I'm not a big fan of. I wish we'd get more coverage of these guys during the year.
Totally. Well, yeah, the opportunity is there for sure. And we're talking about, TV rights. I mean, the rights holders just want more content. I'm with you. I think that the opportunity is there to have more exposure for these kids throughout the year, because it's not like they're like, I mean, the carnival, for example, like, yes, it's on Fox Footy. It's not, it still seems to be quite a niche thing to be watching though.
Yeah, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see. I mean, there's a lot of fan content creators out there now who put a lot of interest into this. I mean, maybe the AFL dip into their magical middle class, upper class pockets and pay some of us to club together and we'll go and cover the games. But it definitely needs to be there. But I mean, it's a pleasure. And we've got the wonderful George Wardlaw here, who is an incredible footballer. Missed most of the year due to injury. Just shows the testament of him, though, being 4th in the AFL draft when you've still got injuries. And this kid is class. This kid, incredibly strong in the contest, very, very versatile, very quick, good kick, good decision-making, and one hell of a footballer. He's kind of like a hybrid, I would say, between Scott Pendlebury and Taylor Adams. If them two had a baby, this is what you'd get, a guy that's class, who isn't scared to break lines, who's strong, he's oxen-like, and yeah, an incredible footballer, and 20,000 times better than Jason Horne-Francis.
Wow. So he missed most of the season, you say?
Yeah, he did, yeah. So had some niggles, but this guy here started the year incredible, ended last year incredible. Literally brilliant footballer. Do you know what I mean? He's a brilliant footballer. He's had them knocks though, but do you know what I mean? He's the modern day midfielder. You know, you're the Clayton Oliver, the Cripper, them type of hard inside players who have got some real skill though. And incredible young man. So George Wardlaw, if you're a North Melbourne fan, there's about 5 of you out there, I think. Well done.
Got a couple of them here. We've got Lex, looks to be a North Melbourne supporter here. Congratulations on your 2 picks. I think so. Also, we've got 2.5 minutes until Essendon make their pick.
So this is the one.
So this is where we wouldn't be surprised if some action happens and a live trade goes down, right?
Well, this is really the one where I think it dictates the rest of the draft. If they go logical now and they take Philippou or they take Wardlaw and they take starters, I think the draft will go may have some little changes. This is going to, I think, dictate how the draft goes for the rest of everyone else. If they take Philippou earlier, that means starters is going to slide, which means we start to have some change-ups. some
All right.
change-up.
Well, the pick is in, it seems. Yeah. Here we go.
And they've taken starters, which
There you
means
go.
Philippou is on the radar. So this is going to be interesting now because because Gold Coast, most people have them taking Bailey because for some reason Philippou had shot up the rankings. But Elijah Status, incredible player, very similar to Mr. Hollands, and he's been very highly regarded as a guy that plays as a wingman. But that's a knock on him because he is actually a very good inside midfielder as well. Has spent a lot of time there. Can do it all. Got a very long booming kick, great engine, very clever footballer. And the rumours of him sliding down, unfortunately, ain't true, which I think is really interesting. It's really interesting because they really panned this guy in the last 5 days. So,
Yeah.
but probably a deserving pick 5, in my opinion. His form has been incredible. Very strong footballer. And Philippou, is he going to be the one now that slides?
Interesting. Well, I remember watching the grand final, the Vic Metro, Vic Country grand final. And I remember the fourth, I actually remember tuning in from 3/4 time onwards. And I remember Ashcroft clearly standing out. This kid, Zatas, standing out. And the kid who is going to go in next year's draft, what's his name? Harley Reid?
Yeah, Reid.
Mate, tell you what, maybe it was just one game, but I remember watching him and like making a note of like how good he was in that granny. And I didn't realize he was an underage player.
Mate, very, very good footballer. Yeah, Elijah, incredibly quick. This guy here is, how would I describe him? Probably incredibly clean, incredibly strong. He gives me shades, this guy, when he plays, of a danger. Dare I say it?
Yeah.
I reckon he'll be a danger in his years to come. He'll be a danger. Very quick burst, gets the ball moving forward and racks up the possessions. A very good footballer, Elijah. So great. He's basically a very good Dylan Shield. Let's say it that way.
Okay. Dave, we are watching from a separate screen. You got to have KO, Foxtel. I don't believe they're showing it on the AFL app. I'm not sure, but I believe it's a Foxtel watch. Nick's asking, who do Gold Coast go for? Pommy, if you're Gold Coast, who are you picking?
I mean, the worldwide exclusive was Bailey Humphrey saying he was going there on my channel.
Well, that's the interesting thing because we've been talking about Philippou potentially sliding. We've spoken about Essendon's pick potentially having some action around it. Well, that didn't happen. So Philippou's available. Humphrey has kind of already indicated that he may be a Sun. And just, for those playing at home, the Suns pick next. Then it's Hawthorn, Geelong, West Coast, St Kilda, and then Carlton. So,
and this is what I mean, because he's going as planned, right? A bit like mine and Lek Dog and everyone's draft. What makes it really interesting here is Philippou should be around that 8-9 level. Now, Eagles won't take him. Geelong won't take him, right? Then St Kilda, you'd imagine if it goes as planned, what 7 is Hawthorn. Do they go Cam McKenzie? We just don't know. There's rumours that they might go Jai Clark, which would be very interesting. So if that happens, that could be really interesting that Philippou could be there at 10. Be interesting to see if Gold Coast are true to their word and we see Bailey, or do they go Matthias? Because very similar players around what they need.
All right.
It is. They are correct.
There it is.
Oh.
There it is. The exclusive, mate.
Worldwide exclusive, mate. I tell you, I even asked the kid if I was allowed to leave that in. I didn't want him to get banned. But there he is, Bailey, my favoured son. God bless him. What a human being he is. He was super stoked. One of the guys that really, when he talked about moving into state, I firmly believed he was there. And Gold Coast, they lost Rankine. They're gaining a midfield forward in my opinion, has a higher ceiling than Rankin. He's going to love playing with that guy on the screen, Tuck Miller. He is a game changer. In 10 years' time, I'll stand by this. For me, he's one of the best players in this draft and may surpass the other guys. But this guy here, a lot's been made on his kicking efficiency. Absolute, as my granddad would say, nada bollocks. He's the position he plays. There's no such thing as kicking efficiency in that position. He is impact per possession. He changes games, and he's an absolute jet. So this is going to be interesting because we expect now 7. This is going to be another one. The media are saying Jai Clark. I think we've said on this channel for about 6 months it's Cam Mackenzie, and they're going to piss St Kilda off. Cam Mackenzie is a Sam Mitchell clone. It's going to be interesting what Hawthorn do, because if Hawthorn do go Philippou, that is exciting for Carlton.
Why?
If they go Cam Mackenzie, it's exciting for Carlton because no one's sliding, which means that means Humphrey's just been pushed down a little bit, which is exciting. So someone will push the button, I'm sure, because the media have it that someone is rising and someone sliding. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Bailey Humphrey, I mean, the fact that he already had an inkling that he was going to be a son and still made the time to sit with you and do the interview, I think that says a lot about him. It's cool.
Mate, he was a lovely kid as well, Bailey. He's got such a great backstory. The extras he does around the community for mental health and particularly Australia and Mindset Australia. He is literally such a wonderful human being. Thank you very much, babe. A wonderful human being. And if Gold Coast are building a culture, this is a guy that you want in your culture. This guy's going to lead you to the next level.
Yeah, wow. Just a few comments here about where to watch tonight. A few people are saying here that it's on the AFL app. So you might have to get a second screen. You got to get your laptop. You got to get your phone out, do the watch along. I'm not even listening to the commentary, to be honest. This is all we need.
Mate, all you need is a dream.
Love this.
That's all you need.
Great to watch the commentary live about the AFL draft. Go Baggers. The best thing about you boys, Terry's an introvert, Pommy's an extrovert. You both work well together. Love that. When it comes to draft time, I got no idea. Happily.
It's one of the nicest things anyone's called me as well, an extrovert. I've had a lot worse comments. That's nice, mate. Cheers. I appreciate you.
No, it's good to be here. It's good to be hanging out. We love it. We love it. Mate, I think the first time we did this, there might have been like 40 people watching, I think back in 2019.
Mate, we've come a long way. I had people with polar bears slagging me off, and also we've come a long way, baby. We've come a long way.
Love it. So we've got about 90 seconds until the Hawks.
Something's happening as well because Hawks are giggling to themselves.
Yeah, there's something going on. They're moving on their chairs.
Mitchell's rubbing his hands. Like here, this is going to be interesting because for me, Cam Mackenzie is the most underrated midfielder in the AFL draft. Not close as well. This kid here, the reason Ashcroft looks so sexy, Cam Mackenzie's hard work. And I think Sam Mitchell would relish working with a player like that because he's very similar to that. But there's some players on here. There's been rumours they go after Jai Clark and piss Geelong off. There's rumours that Philippou was on there. It's going to be interesting who they select.
All right, let's have a look.
They've
Mackenzie,
the boy.
But no, like that's great and all, but Mackenzie was kind of linked with St Kilda. So once we get to St Kilda's pick, the next cab off the rank for them would be Hollands now, right?
Well, I mean,
for the need that they have,
Jai Clark's going to go this pick. You would imagine he has to. Jai Clark straight away for Geelong. Number 9, that's interesting. Do they go Ed Allen? Do they go Ginbey? I expect they go Ginbey. 10, then you would say that Philippou for St Kilda. You'll hear my wife scream because she fell in love with Philippou on my interview. So you'll hear my wife scream. But St Kilda have just won the draft now because they're guaranteed either Jai Clark or Philippou. And knowing St Kilda, they'll probably totally balls it up and they'll name Matthew Jefferson. I hope they don't. No, I've got to admit. But Cam McKenzie, for me, he's everything you want in a footballer. This guy is selfless. He's a great disposal artist. He brings his teammates into the game. He's a team-first midfielder, wins tough ball, wins hard ball, everything you want. Sam Mitchell will be literally there and rubbing his hands together that he has got a clone of himself. This guy is Sam Mitchell. Sam Mitchell will turn this kid into a goddamn superstar. And that is exciting. Exciting.
Interesting. So Madeline is with us. Maddie, good to see you. She's got the 3 screens going. Love to see that. Wayne with the $5 says he loves the CFC, loves the BA crew, and he loves the fans. Keep on keeping on, guys. Thank you very much, mate. And Adrian, he's purchasing a nan analogy.
I'll think of one, Adrian. Do you know what I mean?
All right. You're on the clock, mate. You're on the clock.
On the clock. But like, honestly, legit though, like this is going to be exciting here because this is now we're looking. If Geelong do what we expected them to do, they manipulated that trade to get Jai Clark. They have to go Jai Clark, right? They have to. It was the worst kept secret. Now, that makes it interesting. Ruben Ginbey is who they have heavily been linked with, the Eagles. There's also late noise Jed Buslinger. Could be insane. If they take... Ideal scenario for us right now is 8, Jai Clark, 9, Jed Buslinger, right? And they do that. Because suddenly then Carlton trade down. Because that means it's Ruben Ginbey. That means... there's Elijah Hewitt. They're all there and Philippou. But then it's got that option that if suddenly St Kilda don't take Philippou, Carlton are going to be like, is Ollie Hollands our favourite? Because we can drop down now to 14 with 10 and take 14 and 16.
Okay.
And Ollie Hollands will definitely be there at that pick.
He will definitely be down at like a 14, 15.
If it goes as I've just described, if it goes 8, Jai Clark, 9, they take someone shocking and they take Jed Buslinger, and the rumours are true that they're going to replace Jeremy Cameron ASAP, and Ruben Ginley that they're going to let go based on what they've got. 10 would be hilarious because St Kilda then would be like, oh my God, we didn't expect Philippou to be here. And they've been heavily linked with different players that are there. They've been linked with Buslinger. St Kilda have also been linked with Ed Allen. They had interest in Status because they thought he was going to slide. Suddenly now, St Kilda are probably looking and going, what do we do? We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, we've got a minute left, and we hope that Geelong pick Jai Clark just for the sake of everything going to plan.
Well, they have to. I mean, if they don't, like, Jesus.
All right, the pick is in.
It would be funny if they get Mateus Philippou, right? We need to stop watching the AFL and we start watching a different sport. No, it's Jai Clark.
There we go. All right.
The Selwood clone. This kid is incredible.
Really?
Incredible leader. Strong on the outside, strong on the inside. Very good kicking skills. Incredible football IQ. Leadership. He's worked with the under-16s as well. Helped coaching them. He's a valuable part of the community. His Geelong Falcons coach says he reminds him of Joel Selwood. He plays like Joel Selwood as well. He's tough. He's strong. He's very intelligent. Decent turn of pace. Complete footballer. We've got to start asking questions about the AFL draft, though, how the best side in the AFL has managed to pick up easily a top 5 talent and also got a player in the trade that involved him coming to them.
Unbelievable. And they've got all the young kids that they just picked up as well. Got a question from Tori. Tori's mum wants to know what the light is behind Pommy. Pommy, what is the light?
I'll tell you, I'll give you the exact name because I'd imagine if that's like what my nana would do. She would ask me to ask a question, but she wants to purchase it. It is a Genio LED Wi-Fi light, and it is available at Big W for, I believe, the comedically priced $69.99.
Mate, look at you, affiliate marketing for Big W. Jesus.
That wasn't me who purchased that. That was my wonderful wife. My wife saw it and bought it as a present. So she's the one with the eye for detail. I believe she brought it in here, and I was like, yeah, that's nice, babe. That, yeah, cheers, babe. And she was like, set it
Also,
up, set it up,
well,
set it up.
shout out to Zoe. I believe she celebrated a birthday recently as well.
She did. She's caught me up. She's finally old, so that's good. Now, Mrs. Pom, all the chat know Mrs. Pom. She is the provider of hot cups of tea and all the juices that we have. So she is definitely she has definitely replaced my nana in the terms of looking after me. She is a godsend. She's my best mate, but she's also my beautiful wife. I believe she's watching as well. So shout out to Zoe if you're watching on the big screen. Shout out to David, who has been in hospital with an asthma attack. So love you both.
Absolutely. Bugs, it was a really good setup for advertising, but I can assure you that was done completely off the cuff.
If Big W are chatting though, we'll send invoices.
Yeah, we're up for discussions, mate. Negotiations are on the table. So pick 9, 3 minutes away for the time limit. With a club like West Coast, who are they looking for? Keeping in mind, bringing a player into state or anything like that. What are they thinking right now?
Well, there's some famous quotes on here. Do you know what I mean? On Blue Abroad that we're known for. There's the famous "If my nan had wheels, she'd be a bike," and there's also the famous Terry. They don't hand out Moorish medals, and you said Nick Graham, right? In reference to Liam Stocker. Well, you would imagine Reuben Gimby won the WA version of the Moorish medal, so he is hotly tied to WA. Everyone is saying it. He has shot up from 25 in August to top 10 today. Incredible back end of the year. In my opinion, Cam McKenzie is the most balanced midfielder. Ginby is second, but probably a bigger body and more tough at the ball. This would make sense here, but Philippou is on the board. Boslinger's on the board. They've been heavily linked. Ed Allen somehow is on that board as well. We know the AFL media really like Ed Allen because of his link with being his dad was in the AFL as well. So it's going to be interesting what they do here. They can't really fuck this pick up though, because all them names there are good.
Okay. So
right? Do you know what I mean? All that they can't fuck this up, but we never know. But I mean, in my opinion, I think Gimby's a mistake. I think Boslinger, their backline isn't getting any younger, and the young guys have been injured in it. But Reuben Gimby, as we said, it's the worst kept secret in the world.
I'm starting to get a little excited, for the potential of Philippou. I don't know.
I can't do it. I mean, I interviewed him. He gave me Carlton vibes when I talked to it. I can't do it to myself. I shouldn't have interviewed him. You know what? As well, I'm a firm believer. My nana was always like, "Trust your gut, and you'll never go far wrong." I only really interviewed him because I'd read something just drew me to him, and I read all these articles that he was arrogant, and I was like, I want him on the show, and hopefully I can make him look less arrogant, and I fall in love with him. And him and Ollie Holland, I fell in love with. But Reuben Gimby here, total hard as a cat's head, very classy. They're saying Josh Dunkley. I think that's doing him a disservice for how good he is defensively. I would say he's more of a complete player. I think he's a very Taylor Adams type player. He's strong. He's hard at it. He's no nonsense footballer, but he has got the ability to hurt you offensively. Incredible pickup by that. Do I think it's the right pickup though? I don't know if there's any Eagles fans here. I would have personally said, in my opinion, I would have taken Jed Bustlinger because I think that's more of a dying need for them. But it is what it is. They've gone safe. They've gone with a boy, but Philippou's there, Stop it.
Well, the situation is really this. There's one pick remaining before our pick. St Kilda have now the option of Philippou, Hollands, a few other names is there as well.
You know what? I hope that St Kilda do the right thing and take Philippou for two reasons. One, it'll make my wife happy. And two, I can still support Philippou because St Kilda are irrelevant. So that would be good. That's a good scenario. But there is a part of me now that logic is saying here with St Kilda, what does St Kilda do? Buslinger screams. They have said that their backline is something that needs to be reinforced this draft. Ollie Hollands is the logical pick for St Kilda because they froth an outside midfielder that potentially can play inside. Like that is St Kilda's recruitment strategy of 20 years.
Okay.
Philippou is exactly what they need. They need that game-changing player. This is going to be very interesting here, what St Kilda do, because my brain says Buslinger. My heart says Philippou.
Wow.
And the answer side of me says Hollands.
Okay. Cam, the jacket is priceless. I will never sell this. Well, everyone's got a price. But
I wouldn't let him sell it, even if he offered you 20 million.
Yeah, nah, it's staying with me. I've waited a long time for this jacket. Oh,
Jeff,
and I mean,
she wants Philippou, as we all do.
We all do. So, in an ideal world, which would not be good for you because we've fallen in love with Hollands and Philippou. In an ideal world, St Kilda pick Buslinger right here with pick 10, and then we have the option. If we get to a point where Philippou and Hollands are both available, and Houghton and the others, would we then consider trading our pick and splitting it on the move, or do you just pick your player and move on with it and get on with it?
Well, I mean, if St Kilda now shocked the world and went Ed Allen, let's just say they got Ed Allen, right? It's going to be interesting because then Carlton are guaranteed a player that they've been looking at. But
the pick is in.
The pick is in.
All right, this is huge. Mateus, well done.
Tell you what, my wife there, Philippou, is a St Kilda player. What? Well done, Saints. These words have not been muttered into human existence probably for 100 years. St Kilda have done well there. I mean, like, I feel sorry for him.
He's just got the look about him, mate. He's just got the. I like him. I like the look of him.
Mate, there was something that he said in the interview with me that he wanted his dream, and I thought he worded it with me a little bit better than he did in the media, right? And that was, he said that he would love to be that player that leads a team that hasn't had some success and is remembered that way, bringing the good times back. And for me, this kid here, anyone who said he's arrogant, I can assure you hasn't spoke to him, or if they have, they've botched the arse end of that interview. They've botched the arse end of it, and they've led him into being arrogant. He is an absolute phenomenal footballer, a phenomenal human being who he's gonna get the best out of everything. And you know what? All the South Australian lads I've spoke to, they rated this guy as a teammate, as a person, and as a player. And you know what? They're not going to lie. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to lie. So great acquisition. Wish him all the best. He's got a lot of work to do. Do you know what I mean? He said that he wanted to do it the hard way. Well, tell you what, it doesn't get
doesn't get much harder than that, mate. Go play. Yeah, and you know what? If he's got a personality and if he's got a little bit of a confidence about him, I think someone like Ross Lyon is going to love him because he can have him from the start of his career and mold him into a real tough nut. So good luck to him. But listen, more importantly, we got 3 minutes, and then we're going to find out who our newest Carlton Football Club player is. How exciting! I think Tori has already labelled Ollie Hollands a bestie. Speaking of the besties, they're coming to Blue Abroad. They're coming to take over. So be ready,
mate. And this is going to be an exciting time. I spoke to Mr. Ollie Holland earlier today as well. Yep. Wished him all the luck, and hopefully he flicks in. He said he was going to flick in a bit later and see what everyone said after it's all died down. But I wished him the best luck and said that I hoped he got here up to Carlton, and he's excited. So we're expecting Ollie Hollands. He's a nice guy. But there's everyone's Carlton have been linked to is here. But Philippou, unfortunately, it was close, but not close enough. And tell you what, best of luck to him at St Kilda. I'm quite happy. I might lose one of my kids though, because both of my kids have fallen in love with Ollie Hollands and Mateus Philippou from the interviews.
Yeah.
So I might lose one of the kids to St Kilda again.
What have you done? What have you done?
Typical, eh? Do you know what I mean? You trust someone and that's it. I feel sorry for him though, having to play Ross the Boss's game style. He's never going to fucking see it.
No. All right. Minute 20 to go. Minute 20 to go.
You would have thought Ross is a little bit happier.
Nah. Ross the Boss? Don't think so. He's got to put his grumpy hat on. There he is.
Bid on Fletcher. Brisbane have to play that drunk hill.
There's the team. The pick is in. It's got to be Hollands. Come on. It's got to be Ollie Hollands, right?
Right,
It just has to be.
I agree with you, Chris. Fucking Mateus Philippou's one of the best. Ollie Hollands! My boy! Tell you what.
Get in. Welcome.
Welcome to the club, Ollie Hollands. And you know what? Do you know what I mean? This is a little present for Ollie Hollands. We talked about footy chants, and he knew the watch along does footy chants, and he said he hoped he had a football chant. So I've got him one, right? There's a star man playing on the wing. His name is Ollie Hollands, and he's fucking dynamite. There you are, Ollie. Welcome to the club. You got a chant. No one's ever had a chant before they've kicked a ball for us. So well done. And you know what? What a human being. I'm so proud that Ollie Hollands is here for us.
Love. This is the moment right there. Wow, that's crazy when you watch life just move so quickly. Walsh was getting his Guernsey handed to him by Cripper and Doc a few years ago, and now he's handing out a Guernsey to a new player. That's exciting. That's a really exciting time, really exciting moment for him right there.
Mate, honestly, and you know what? AFL have stolen my draft comparison as well. We talked to him and we said Ed Langdon. People were describing him as all sorts. Spot on. Hard running, ball accumulation type player.
Yeah.
Massive learner. And I think the biggest thing that you can learn from Ollie Hollands and the type of player he is, and I implore people to go and watch the interview on my channel with him, is he talks about what he did in COVID. And one of the things he did in COVID, which was huge, was a lot of the feedback from his coaches was that he didn't have an engine. So he ran. He bought a treadmill and he ran.
He worked on it.
And he ran. And he ran. And he ran. And when he came back, as he describes, he suddenly was fitter than everyone else. The engine was there. And I always think the biggest downplay thing in these juniors who are good now is their commitment to the task. What did they do with their free time? And what you're going to see with Ollie Hollands is that he had an extended free time. We had COVID, and look what he did. Look what he did. He got better. It was the weakest part of his game, and it's now the best part of his game. Mate, this kid is sensational. And honestly, anyone on Twitter, anyone anywhere who goes, he can't kick, ask them how many minutes of the game have they watched of him. And number two, ask them, what's his kicking disposal efficiency? And if they can't answer him, tell them from their Uncle Pom, you know nada about football and block
Absolute sweet fuck all.
Because I'm telling you now, if this guy goes from being one of the slowest, in his words, one of the worst at the time trials, to winning it every year after that, what do you think he's going to do with his kicking?
True.
And this kid here is brilliant. So, mate, honestly, and look at there, his weakness, his body size, not his kicking efficiency. And well done. Jasper Fletcher is bid on by the Dogs. The Dogs are doing it on that. And Carlton are done now for the night. We won't see them till tomorrow. But there he is. Look at him. You know what? We're proud. It's great to see him.
I like the club put out a tweet as they announced that he's at the club, and he's one of our own. It's a good little chant. I like it. I like it a lot.
Mate, he's absolutely sensational. He's absolutely sensational, and he's going to be very happy. Tell you, he's one of us. Just so you know, he's one of us. Like, he off camera, he gave me about 2 hours of his time, and I tell you what, he's one of us. Absolutely batshit crazy blue bagger. He is. He's go and watch that interview. He's sensational. He talks about the hardships. And what number? I'm predicting he wears 32. He's great granddad, Martin Cross, wore 23.
Okay.
And we had a bit of a laugh saying he's going to have to fight Wheater in to get that off him. But 32. So if he gets the 32, everyone got there. But honestly, sensational kid. He impressed me majorly. So phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal footballer. Right. But the Starman chant is his.
I like it. So a few things. Number one, I'm going to sub out. Lek Dog's going to join in right now. We may have Jono Baruch join in.
Can I just go for a wee then? And you
get out of here. Get out of here. Go for it.
5.
I'll have a chat with Lek Dog. Lek Dog.
Hey mate, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm fantastic, mate. It's draft day. It's always, well, not the last couple of years because we traded our first round pick, but it's always a day of positivity for us, isn't it?
Of course, especially when there's not as much pressure to, I don't know. It's almost, we're talking about it yesterday. Like, we just don't have the same pressure that we put on these draftees now because the list is, well, we think it's developed. It's still got some time to go. But, I think if you go back 5 years ago, you're looking at when we draft Paddy Dow and Lockie O'Brien, it's like, we really need these guys to lead the club forward. And that's just not the case anymore with the draft.
Yeah, pretty much since we've been watching footy, right? The Mark Murphy days, we've been relying on these messiahs to come in. And, I think Mark Murphy, definitely Bryce Gibbs was in the leadership group before he'd even played a game of AFL footy. Like, we've been so desperate for these guys to come in and save us. It's nice to be in a position where that hard work's been done a little bit. And that's thanks to guys like Cripper and Walshy and Wiedering and all those superstars who have lived up to the hype. And now a guy like Hollins, Ollie can just come in and just be a player. He doesn't need to be a superstar. He's a high floor player in my eyes. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but I love a player who's just going to be consistent. We know what we're going to get out of him, and he doesn't need to. He's not going to get the comparisons that Paddy Dow has in the past because Paddy Dow was, a top 3 pick, and everyone needed him to be the next big thing. Where Hollins comes into a strong side, and maybe he doesn't even start in their round 1, but he's certainly going to have opportunities to earn his way into the side. And we're just in a much better position than we were in the last quite some time.
Interesting. Are you surprised with anything that's happened tonight so far?
I was a big, like Pom was, like a lot of people have been a Philippou man. So this top 10 or 11's all the right names. I just thought that Philippou would have gone a little bit earlier, and then I got a little excited when I thought he might come to us. But no, very happy with all Hollins. No real surprises. I thought maybe Ed Allen probably went a little bit early, but I understand that they're going to draft local talent over in WA. It makes sense. But yeah, no surprises. I like the bid from the Bulldogs on Jasper Fletcher here. That's how the draft should be done. You should be making these clubs earn their players. So no real surprises at this stage, Tez. I think the first 10, 11, 12 picks were always going to go a certain way.
Okay, interesting. I actually I got a little bit of mail earlier today. I was told that the 2K time trial took place and that Matty Cottrell smashed it with the 5:59.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably so we know Vossi likes Matty Cottrell, and in a lot of ways, Hollands has similar attributes in terms of his physical and endurance and consistency and running to contests. So, it might be a Lockie O'Brien who's getting squeezed over a Cottrell, and we know Vossi likes him, but that's exciting. That's exciting to hear.
And he's put some size on as well, which, these are the phrases that we are starting to hear at this time. But I mean, you've got Hollands now, you've got Cottrell, who sort of just chips away at it every year and gets a little bit better every year. It's potentially very exciting now.
Yeah, and so they've reported today that the sub rule is going to change. It's going to be 4 on the bench and a normal sub, not a medical sub. So we're going to see some of these outsidey, wingy players play that role a fair bit for us. So I think we might see a Lob, we might see a Cottrell, we might see an Ollie Hollands all rotate through that spot. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. And all of a sudden, we've gone from really struggling in that department to having a few options to look at, which is exciting. Blake Acres obviously is the other one we've brought in.
All right. Now I'm going to do something quickly. I'm going to bring you out. I'm going to quickly speak to Jono Baruch, and then I'm going to bring you and Pommy back in to get us home.
Fantastic.
All right, stand by. Mr. Baruch, live from where the action is.
Certainly am, Tez. I'm here live from. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, certainly live. I'm here at backstage at Marvel Stadium. Actually, Ross Lyons just walked past over there, which is very exciting. Jed Buslinger's just been picked up at pick 13 by the Western Bulldogs, but it's quite busy around here, which is very exciting, and obviously very exciting a few minutes ago for all the Blue Baggers with Ollie Hollands landing at Princes Park, which is all going to plan at the moment, it seems.
Absolutely. What did you think of the pick? I mean, I know you're there on official media duties, but what does your inner Blue Bagger say about our pick?
In the heart of hearts, it says it's absolutely right. Just as Lekdog said there, it's a needs-based pick. Obviously, you bring someone like Blake Acres into the club during the trade period, and you're able to get a young runner in Hollands who's perfected that role, particularly over the last couple of years in NAB League football. And so you bring him in, and all of a sudden there's that competition for spots on the other wing with the likes of Lockie O'Brien, with the likes of Matthew Cottrell, David Cunningham, who many have earmarked for him to come back in and play that role and be a real difference maker in this team. So all of a sudden, in comes Ollie Hollands, who's made a name for himself to really bolt up the draft board recently. Pardon me. And there he is. He's coming into a club that he's absolutely adored from, I'd say, birth. And he's going to be putting his best foot forward to start.
For sure. Any other bits of news from the ground there? I'm not sure how much time we've got you for, but have you got any other insights that you can give us from the ground level? Have you heard any conversations that have been had? Maybe.
Not really involving us. We are trying to get that extra pick in before pick 30, but that will probably come tomorrow night. We'll probably see how the rest of the draft lands tonight, but there haven't really been many surprises. Obviously, there was a lot of thought that Essendon might trade there before they fielded a lot of offers, and that could have really thrown the whole top 10 out, and particularly with the Sydney Swans potentially looking to get up to the Western Bulldogs selection now, and because they've got 2 picks coming up shortly, as West Coast have just selected. Sorry, the pick is in and it's just taken a while to load onto the screen. But just getting back to what I was saying, there haven't really been many surprises here tonight, so I expect them to come maybe a little bit later. Elijah Hewitt is off to the Eagles, which is a little bit of a surprise, but also not really, considering the Eagles wanting to pick local talent. So fair bit happening here at Marvel Stadium.
All right. Well, Jono, I've put a poll up on the channel on the live stream right now to see if people want to watch along tomorrow. 98% have said yes, so we might even get you back in tomorrow, mate.
I'll be here. Don't worry. I'll be
All
here.
right. Mazal Tov for being there, mate. It's good to see.
Thanks, mate. And I know it's not a Blues man, but a shout out to my boy Harry Sheasel. Pick 3 to North Melbourne. It's absolutely brilliant. More diversity in the AFL at the top level, better representation is only a good thing, and hopefully it's a chance for all of us to continue learning, continue educating ourselves, and becoming a better human race.
No, well said, mate. Well said. See you tomorrow. Have a good night, mate.
See you tomorrow, mate, and welcome back.
Thank you. Laila Tov. All right, ladies and gents, I'm out. See you tomorrow. Looks like we're going to be doing this again tomorrow. I wasn't sure if that would be of interest, but I'm going to bring in Pommy and Lek Dog to bring it home for this evening. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Hey.
Great, man.
So Elijah Hewitt's just gone to the Eagles. Surprise, surprise. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a great pick by them. This kid here, strong, quick, and just like to say, got a lot of hate when I took Buslinger for the doggies, and everyone was like, all these doggy fans, oh, we don't need a key position. You don't need a key position player, do you not? Do you not?
Well, hey, they got Liam Jones, mate. Why would they need Buslinger?
But I'll tell you what, Elijah Hewitt, this kid here can play footy. He's a real nice kid. And as classic AFL, wasn't invited to the event there because they didn't think him going in the first round. But great reactions there. Very good footballer. And tell you what, the Eagles, they've got Gimby and him. They've really replenished their midfield stocks. So going to be interesting what they do with their later picks.
I mean, there's nothing they can't go wrong with their picks. To be honest, they're that strapped for talent at the moment over there. Annoyingly, it looks like Melbourne is all the. I won't assume, but it looks like Jefferson's going to get to Melbourne, and that's exactly what they need, given how good they are. So I'm a little frustrated by that. I was hoping someone would ruin their day, but we will see.
Well,
maybe they'll surprise us.
Well, I mean, there hasn't been some surprises. I mean, the big one, obviously, is there was a late push by the AFL media for Ed Allen. I've seen a lot of comments about Ed Allen, which I thought was very interesting because Ollie Holland's miles ahead of Mr. Ed Allen. And in my opinion, Elijah Hewitt miles ahead of Ed Allen as well for his offensive flat. But you know what I love about it is his grin. We know Hewitt is a Eagles boy. It's great to see these kids get drafted to the clubs that they enjoy. And I had the privilege of speaking to Ollie Hollands this morning as well. He was super excited. He genuinely didn't know. Do you know what I mean? The impression I got from speaking to him this morning was that, and when I did the interview, I think he was like 95% Carlton, but there was 5% someone is falling, and if they fall to us, they're maybe too good. But mate, I'm so happy for Ollie. Honestly, he's my new favourite player. So
mate,
we're no longer pomming Oz Charlie Kerner. We're now pomming Oz Ollie Hollands. Tell you what, there you are. You heard it here first.
Pom, as the captain of the Jack Nunes, or the president of the Jack Nunes fan club, I can say that I'm very excited to have Ollie Hollands, another high floor, consistent player who I'm excited to defend to the death when people tell us he's not hard enough. I am excited to see him running around on a wing, Pom. Please don't debut him as a sub, Carlton. Please.
Well, I mean, I don't think they will, but I am super excited for him. A very nice boy. And I'm excited as well for St. Kilda fans. I know there's a few of you out there outside of my wife, for Mateus as well. I'm looking forward to seeing him. But Matthew Jefferson, as we've predicted, the worst kept secret in football. He is a demon. They finally have their hands on a key forward. And in my opinion, I know everyone says Cadman's better. I'm going to make my first big call of the night. In 10 years' time, this guy will kick more goals than... He will kick more goals than Cadman at AFL level. This kid here is very, very special. And he can do everything. High in the air, very decent ground game. He's very, very elusive, very quick. We know the modern day forward now. He's fast. And this guy has got real speed about him. I'm a huge fan of Matty Jefferson, and great pickup by the Demons. The Demons, I sometimes think I question their draft strategy. Absolutely nailed this one.
Yeah, I did on our website recently a depth chart for all the clubs, and the one place on the Melbourne list you'd put a slight question mark was probably that key forward depth, and now they've got Van Ruin from last year and Jefferson from this year, and I think they're going to be a combo. I hate to say it, they're going to be a combo like a Mackay and a Curnow is for us in a few years' time. So the rich get richer, Pom. They've done very well there. I saw some questions in the chat, Pom. Do you think we'll try and trade into the first round with future picks?
Well, you'll find out now. You'll find out now. We've got 3 minutes 30 to do something.
I'd love to see us. I don't think we will. I'd love to see us get another pick in tonight for a myriad of reasons we've gone over 100 times. But getting 2 first-round picks this year would set us up to be free to trade them for the next 3 years. So I'm pro that. But if the right player's not there, then the right player's not there.
Mate, spot on. And apologies, for some reason, I have put Elijah Hewitt's photo with Matthew Jefferson. So let me change that. But I agree, mate. I think there's an outside chance Carlton will sneak in because I've been quite consistent with this. Every year they say next year's draft is better. So I've already got my spreadsheet for next year. Where Carlton are now, hopefully we finish around this pick next year, where we are now, where we're 16, 15, 14, 16, 17, 18. These guys are players that we've got very young players that we don't need replacements. And by that stage, I don't think anyone's going to be saying we need replacements for Walsh and Cripps right then. We need probably role players, if anything. And they're all midfielders around that pick. So I don't see any need for Carlton to do that. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's any warrant of us being in the first round next year unless we are shit. If we're like first 5 picks, we got bigger issues. Don't trade it. But for me, it's not something that I am looking at. And the second round next year is prime for more role players, particularly in the back half of the ground. And I think that's where Carlton will look. So it's going to be interesting here because Sydney are now into that minute 30 territory, which usually indicates a trade. Logic here will say Ed Allen, right, is someone that they've been heavily linked with. They've also met with Weddle. It's going to be interesting here. Do they go Ed Allen?
Who's on the board that you like still? Guys like Braden George, Isaac Keeler, Ollie Houghton. There's a few names. Barnett. There's a few names still floating around.
For me, the guy that I think they've grossly underrated. There's 2 here. If I'm GWS next pick, I'm going Braden George. Mm-hmm. Braden George is, in my opinion, if he played the full year, this time last year, Braden George was 4th on my draft radar. Just got injured too much this year. But he is that good. He is that good. I think they'll go Ed Allen, though. I think they won't break the bank unless Carlton come in. Because I can tell you now, Ed Allen won't go to Collingwood or GWS. So if they just get rid of 16 now, Ed Allen will be there at 19 because Carlton won't take him. So for me, will they sell him? Will they sell it now? Now's the time to sell it because if Ed Allen is their target, he will be there. So it's going to be very interesting what Carlton do. They've got 20 seconds. They're on the blower and they're not making a pick. So this could be a trade out.
On. Do it, Carlton. Get involved.
Come on, Nick. Help me out, brother. What are they doing?
Come on, Nicky.
5 seconds. They've obviously asked for the extra time.
Yeah. Surely.
You know what? I hope there's a rule that they just instantly pass now. Or do what we do on Perfaffle. Or pick worst player.
Auto pick worst player available.
Can you imagine?
Dan Hanbury back to Sydney.
Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, with pick 16, Sydney take Cameron J. Paulson.
He had a reasonable year in the whatever division he's playing now, didn't he?
Gil rings me now, and he's like, Pommy, look, just need a fucking name, a shit name, because Sydney have forfeited. And I'm like, Leckdog, take him. Oh, no, I'm cheating. Harry Ralston. Oh, I'll tell you, they're
Oh.
trading this pick. They're trading this pick. They are trading this pick. There is no way they have gone Harry Ralston this pick and they are being legit. There is no way. They're taking the Ed Allen category out. They're taking the Ed Allen category. They're taking him off the board because GWS have spoke as well. They're doing this. They're doing this. This could backfire, though. Remember, famously, Dodoro put a bid in for Mosquito, and he didn't want him. And that's since come out that his agent is fuming because they thought Hawks would bite, and Hawks didn't. So this would be hilarious because Harry Ralston, very good footballer, but at pick 16...
does GWS have different matching rules to other... Because I thought academies you couldn't match. Did GWS have a special different rule?
What is it? It's not NGA, this.
It must be it must be like the Northern Academy, maybe something.
I'm pretty sure there is an academy rule for people in the same state. I'm not too sure.
Potentially. I'll try and dig it up.
Oh, please, GWS. Just let them have him. Let them have him. If I'm Nick Austin now, I am ringing and saying, look, you've just made a big balls up. I'm going to do you a favor and I'll give you a future second and I'll buy you a massage and a beer at the end of this, just so you feel a bit better. Give me this pick. They're definitely selling this pick. There is no way they have gone with a guy that is between 30 and 35 right now. If they have, I am telling you now, put this on record, this is the stupidest thing I have ever seen on an AFL draft. And bearing in mind, there is a lot of stupid.
Yeah, so he's a Northern Academy pick, which is different to an NGA pick. It's essentially the equivalent of like a father-son for the Northern clubs.
But I mean, let's talk about Harry Ralston. Is he good? I mean, he was the best player for the Allies. That's without a doubt. He was very strong. The Allies weren't so strong though, but did come over to Melbourne, which was interesting, which was a lot of interest in Melbourne because he did come and play some footy here. Was sensational against the best side in the comp, Sandy Dragons. Very slight, very quick, got a good eye for goal, 182, 81 kegs, averaged a staggering 23 possessions and a goal a game from the midfield. So he suits the Sydney mantra of they like goal-kicking midfielders, but if they've taken this bid here, this is categorically mental.
Everyone's noticed my dog wants to get out, so I'm just going to stand up. You're lucky I'm wearing pants today.
Your dog's like a player at North, wants back home. You know what this could do as well? Do you remember when we talked about GWS being that finicky team where Carlton put bids in?
Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love to see Essendon bid next. Let's bid on them all.
They're definitely buying time, though. They're definitely buying time.
Well, they would love to trade out of this pick, right? If they trade out of this pick, then they get him for cheaper. It's going to be very interesting. I hope Nicky Austin's on the phone right now.
Oh, Ads, you asked about the interview. Give me a sec, mate. Give me a sec, my good friend Ads. I will hook a brother up. This guy, honestly, he loves it, doesn't he? The vice president of operations. There you are, Ads. That is the Ollie Hutton, Ollie Ollens video. GWS have matched the bid. That is absolutely barnstorming crazy, what you've just witnessed there.
They don't look happy about it either.
Yeah, but Codge, come on, Nick Austin, do me a solid, Nick. Honestly, I don't ask you to do a lot, but please give me a come in, mate. Come in. You've got this. You've got this, Nick.
I don't understand why they didn't.
You know what? If this next
move
bid
that pick on
is Anthony Munkara,
that would be funny. No, they've got to go Olwen Davey Jr., don't they?
No, I'd go Munkara first. I'd piss them off. But Harry Ralston finds his home So, I mean, we've just talked about him. I mean, it's way too early. And honestly, I've got to give pure props to Sydney that someone has finally taken the piss in the AFL draft. Now Sauce is left. Like, absolute Michaela. That's Michaela Strachan levels of taking the piss. I haven't seen someone take the piss that much since my Auntie Enid had too much beer and she wet herself. Like, legit, that is Mickey Mouse, but fair play.
It's great that they've done. Like, that's what the system's in place for. I think now this is an interesting discussion point, right? They've gone the early bid to make GWS pay. GWS have clearly told Harry that they're going to take him. They can't exactly strong arm it and mess around. They have to draft him, and that's where the ruthlessness of the AFL doesn't exist. It's where it really lacks.
They're on the blower, ladies and gentlemen. They're on the blower. There is something a cookie in here, but there is the confirmation. Harry Ralston is that, and I'm loving this. Tell you what, Sydney, bravo, ladies and gentlemen. Sydney, bravo. Now, if you do a cut price deal, you are there to Carlton, I'll love you. But this is going to be interesting now. What do they do? They've taken Ed Allen threat away. Collingwood, do I think they'll take Ed Allen here? I really don't think so. I think Lewis Hayes is their pick here.
Yeah, for sure.
So for them, they know now that this pick here, if Ed Allen is their premium target, which is what it's suspected to be, it will be there at 19, which means they could quite easily give this to Carlton. So
we're really trying to will this trade, aren't we?
Come on! Look, they're on the phone and they're waiting for replies. You love to see it. They're now taking 2 minutes.
So Twitter's going nuts. It's clear, like everyone at GWS is like everyone on Twitter's noticed how mad GWS looked because they've just burnt pick 17 on a guy they were going to get anyway later in the draft. It's brilliant from Sydney.
Mate, I could franchise that, Jeff. An Aussie in Yorkshire. Hey, might have to franchise it, Jeff, and pay you subs, my friend. But this is going to be exciting here because this is the perfect case scenario for Nick Austin right now because the draft has gone. And it's going to be very interesting here because 29, now this is where another conversation comes in. We know Nick Austin appears to want 3 picks inside 30. Is this where Nick Austin thinks future third, take 17, package up 29, and maybe a swap of a future fourth and a third, and get 17 and 19 today and sacrifice next year? There is a lot of allies players this time next year who are in the top 30. So that is very, very, very good for Sydney. Sydney don't need to replenish anything. They're pretty much solid. So this is a great question now for Nick Austin. Do I sell it to them that there is a chance that you get what you need here? Because Ed Allen was a very late interest from Sydney. So this could be interesting that they probably don't value him as highly as a lot do. But this is staggering here. Tell you what, if we get Davey and then we hear he goes Munkara, I'll honestly...
Just another troll.
I might have to buy a Sydney membership, I tell you.
Let's just keep this draft. Let's see how many bids we can get in. Let's keep this draft going. 2 hours isn't long enough. Let's keep it going.
Look at Horse. Horse is fed up already. He's like, can we just fucking pick a player?
Horse doesn't understand the rules. That's what he's just confused. He's like, I just
Horse
thought I'd said.
I thought you said that this was a steak bar. Fuck's this? Why are we all in uniform, kids? 3 seconds. They've done something dodgy. What is it? Sydney, we've picked 17. They made a bid on father-son Max
Davey?
What?
Yes!
And Adelaide are absolutely screwed. So this here, Max is an incredible footballer. Now, as very often with South Australian father-sons, they do get totally forgotten about. So he is a lot higher up, and this is probably his fair range, I'd say. He's definitely a top 20. Jim was a sensation back in the 70s, early 80s. But this guy here is probably the South Australian Josh Weddle. He's got that talent, and he is incredibly strong aerially, incredibly strong one-on-one, and he's a phenomenal little asset. Very good field kick as well, very good intercept threat. And I like what Sydney are doing here. Is Carlton, there is obviously, when this happens, if you remember when Sauce traded down to get Brodie Kemp, this is what Sauce did. It buys them time because the AFL rules are very strict. Once the timer runs out, that pick is actually passed. So it's a very, very important thing that they're buying themselves time. Now, this will totally wipe Adelaide's draft strategy out. They have been quite open with what they're getting and what they're looking for, and now they're going to be sliding down effectively 20 picks. It's very interesting. This pick has come in about 7 times before. I'd love it, though, if someone backfires and just goes, fucking have him, mate.
Have him. Well, they're just not that ruthless, are they, in the AFL, Pom? They're just not.
Can I just say congratulations to Adelaide for only taking 38 seconds to say we want him, as opposed to GWS, who waited 4 minutes 20 to say that they wanted a player. But Adelaide, we appear, have matched. If they've just buoyed that off, though, tell you what, I've said a lot of nasty things about Adelaide on this show. I might have to change my mind.
There we go. They matched the bid.
Oh, they matched it. Okay, I was like that. Did they match it? No one's saying anything.
I wonder if Sydney have done the maths right. They're making all these bids because it's pushing all these clubs' picks back. Is it pure revenge, or is it just that they're making these father-sons? Because they're essentially making 17 friends or 16 friends by doing this, right? Because they push Adelaide back. Everyone picks before Adelaide gets pushed up.
Well, I mean, also what's interesting is Carlton have the Fletcher and stuff. They're picking the 40s is starting to look a little bit sexier as well. They're picking their 20s is starting to look a bit sexier. So again, when you talk about trade value, the 20s are very, very interesting because I was talking to someone about this, that 2 picks, 29, are worth more than pick 14. So now Carlton's, they do that to ascertain trade value for future picks, particularly when not much is known about the draft cards next year. So now suddenly Carlton's pick 29 is starting to rise. Suddenly that's got a little bit more value than it had 5 minutes ago. So for Carlton now, this is very good. This is very good. And I think that they're going to literally they're definitely selling this pick. They're selling this pick. Stay tuned. Who is coming in for it? Who wants it?
We would not mind an Essendon bid here, though. Would not mind it.
Well, I can say that their list manager was texting, and I could lip read a bit, and he was like, they're still getting back to me. And then they made that second bid. So now everyone is on the phone, right? This would say to me that someone there is about to put the money in, because Kinner beats him there. He is literally going mental. And he was like, I need more time. And then they put that bid in. So I wonder here what's going to happen if you're going to see a trade has been accepted. Because this, I can't remember who it was. It was Henry and someone else that Sauce did. But you remember, he bought himself 15 minutes and he made that trade. So could be very interesting here, because that should be enough time. Maybe
this finally normalizes bidding on players, Pom. Maybe we finally get into the modern day.
Who knows? But who knows? I mean, yeah, you thought when Hugh Greenwood was stolen, people would start doing that, but they closed the loophole and all the clubs unanimously agreed.
Yeah.
Dabo, I don't think Max is eligible to go to. It's a rough rule because he never played for Adelaide, but he played in the Sandful, so they agreed to split the Sandful between Port and the South Australian teams. Do I like it? Not really. Do I like the father-son? Very controversially, not the way that it is now anyway.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Not the way
Get
it is.
rid of it.
Hawthorn here on the blower. Oh, don't give it to Hawks.
No. That's not the Blues. Who would Hawthorn be looking at here?
Tom Green. Thank you, Andy, mate. If you are a Rock fan, as well. If you are a rock, he did a wonderful, sensational interview, in fact, with a guy from the Fear Factory whose name escapes me, but his channel is fantastic and he does a wonderful in-depth interview with him as well. It was really good. Ando Vocals is his channel, and it was I learned something because that music is too heavy for me. But he had Dino Cazares from Fear Factory. Just type in Ando Vocals on YouTube
There it is.
and go and check
Trade.
it out. Thank you, Andy. Hey, I worked it out. I got there in the end.
Had a trade, Pommy. Sydney send pick 18 to Hawthorn for pick 27, a future second and a future third. That's a pretty good haul for Sydney.
It is, and Sydney have totally ruined my day anyway. So we got excited, but with them picks, I wouldn't be surprised to see Sydney. Depends why Hawthorn are coming here. If Hawthorn are here for Ed Allen, I wouldn't be surprised to see the next pick get passed on in another trade. So we could be here for about 2 weeks.
I'm all right with that.
I'm all right with it, but I mean, it's just classic AFL, isn't it? I mean, do they need this long? Like, my question is, what is everyone's chat here? What's everyone's thought in chat of, do you think they've got wait? Is 5 minutes too long? I think that's far too long when they've had a year to prepare.
Yeah, for sure. It's way too long. And doing the draft over multiple nights is too long. Doesn't make any sense to me.
We did this, and you know what? We only had 60 seconds per pick, right? I gave you all 60, and we smashed it out and had time for banter and time to drink beer. Our
draft order was basically the same as this one.
You know what would be sick is if we just had 18 list managers, no mates or anything, just a slab, and they sit there and they just drink and do it.
You get through it pretty quick.
They've traded up. Is that Josh Weddle? I can't see because I don't know whoever that is. Whoever's filming in his house.
It's Weddle.
It is Josh Weddle. There it is. Tell you what, Josh Weddle's camera at his house. Is he live from 1998? But Josh Weddle.
That might be the first video ever uploaded to YouTube.
Josh Weddle. So half a key defender, half a small defender, the general defender, as we call them. But this kid here has bolted up, and he's incredibly strong. For those who watch Swoop Luke, we talked about him on there. He has a huge advantage that he can also play lockdown. Tom Stewart, they're saying his draft profile is, I think that's a huge thing, but he is a very strong interceptor, very good down at rebounding, and definitely someone who's going to learn off James Sicily incredibly well. But a very good pick, and you can see probably why they shifted up for that.
They lack a little bit of depth in that in the defensive side. So I know they've got guys like Hardwick, Giath, Scrimshaw, Day. Beyond that, they don't actually have a lot. Sicily, Granger, Barras, and Frost in the key position roles. So I think he's a good fit there. In terms of Supercoach, for those that are interested, he should get games at some stage this year, which will be good for us.
They've gone young, haven't they? So for Supercoach, Hawthorn are the team to look out for, aren't they?
They are. They do. They've got a few holes in this list, and they've just, on paper, filled one of them. So well done to them. Would have liked that pick, but it wasn't meant to be. We can't be greedy, and they paid a steep price for it, to be honest. People underrate the value of a second-round pick, Pom. I say this over and over, and they've given up 2 second-rounders and a third-rounder to make that trade. It's a pretty penny to pay.
Spot on, mate. And now we've got the Pies on. So the Pies have got some really tasty picks here, and quite surprisingly, probably some of the targets that the Pies thought weren't going to be there are now there. Now, you would say the wing is very strong at Collingwood. They've got a lot of players that rotate through there. Ed Allen, though, was hugely popular for some reason in the AFL draft, and he's their highest ranked player. Highest ranked player in this draft for me is Braden George. Now, Hawthorn, Collingwood have gone hard with Bobby Hill. Do we think that they maybe put the bid in here and go, you know what, let's get him. We've got the players to rest, but this kid is pure out and out class. Or do they take best available, which we presume is Ed Allen?
See, I don't have Ed Allen as my best available. I've got George, Sabowski, Keeler, Huswaite. I've got a few names up there that are probably ahead of them. What do they need? They don't have a full-time ruckman. They probably need another tall Collingwood. I don't know. I just don't. Ed Allen's not my pick. It's just not my pick in this spot.
I'd personally got Isaac Keeler here.
Well, yeah, so he would fit in well for them. Another one we talked about, was it Lewis Hayes we were talking about earlier in this spot? I think a tall is due, and it's not Ed Allen for mine.
Now, to answer your question, I've got Matt and Anthony. I think 21 and 22 could be on the cards here. These were the guys that originally I said I'd be looking at the Sydney clubs because there's a lot of Allies talent next year. And I think it's going to be interesting what they do here. I think GWS don't need that. Don't need a lot of talent. Don't need a lot to come in. I think they'll be all right. They've still got quite a lot of youth. People forget that. There's a lot of youth there at GWS already. That needs to be seen. But Collingwood have made their pick. So look at these Sydney clubs after this. There is a late chance.
I'm crossing my fingers. If you ever need the proof that the NBN was the worst rolled out piece of infrastructure of all time, just watch an AFL draft. There we go. Wowee. Spot on, Pommy.
There it is, Mr. Lewis Hayes. Now, this guy here is...
You're Ed Allen.
Sorry, Ed Allen. Sorry. Ed Allen, there it is. They took best available. So there it is, Mr. Edward Allen. He moves over very, very late mover in this draft. Strong, very strong on the outside. Got a bit of inside flair as well about him. Finds the ball very well. Very, very, very strong, though. And that's a big highlight for him. And probably I'm kind of a bit surprised just because I think that they've got a lot of players like this. But again, they have got an aging midfield. They have got, obviously, Pendlebury and players like that will leave. So it's a very good pickup for them. And he's probably there, which is a surprise for Collingwood. But Ed Allen is a Magpie. So good get for them.
I wonder if Sydney are kicking themselves.
Well, I mean, it was a calculated risk, but this now is good for Carlton because now you would say that the player is on the board that potentially Carlton want.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to see a couple of moves here. Either pick
Mate,
20
Swiggy,
or 21.
I'm with you. I'm surprised you went more wingers. Do you know what I mean? But there it is. I mean, I thought Hayes was the logical here, but it's going to be interesting now because Sydney, what do they do? That's the big thing for Sydney. They've lost, presumed their target. Now, it's interesting that they're focusing on Collingwood a lot. Are Collingwood going to have a sniff in here?
So
I mean, what do you think Sydney are going to do?
I don't know. I think that they might have wanted... I mean, they're never going to tell us, right? I reckon they wanted Ed Allen. I don't think they're ever going to tell us one way or the other. Of the players left on the board, Braden George probably has the highest upside. Did
they go Hayes? Just because obviously they've got the McCartin twins, the brothers, but obviously there's always that risk, isn't there? There's always that risk.
Yeah,
do they look at Hayes and go, let's cover our ass? Or
maybe. They've got the McCartins. They got Rampy. They got Robbie Fox. They bought in Aaron Francis's depth in the offseason. They're a pretty solid side. I mean, they were in a grand final. The list is in a pretty good place. So there's a bit of age in their back line, you'd say. And their forward line as well. So who of the best available tall is maybe here?
Well, I mean, there've been links to Harry Barnett. Do they go there? That makes sense.
Could do that. I mean, who's in their ruck line? I know he can play a couple of different spots. They're talls at the moment. Hickey, Laddams, McAndrew, Sam Reed, Lance Franklin. Like maybe.
Lance Franklin.
Wouldn't mind him just to take the piss and bid on Owen Davey Jr.
Mate, I just like the fact you called him Lance.
What did
Lance
I call
Franklin.
him? Yeah.
You gave him his full title.
That's his
I
name.
rate that. No, but I rate that. It took me a while to work out who you're on about. I'm like, Lance fucking buddy. Yeah, he's full name.
Mate, you can be called Buddy when you're 18. When you're 37 years old, you can't be called Buddy.
So again, Sydney are taking up our sweet time. So it's going to be interesting what they do here. I mean, there's a great argument here for Hayes, I think, for McCartan. I like the fact Collingwood have done what they're doing. I still don't quite understand that Collingwood pick, but it is probably best available in the AFL media's eyes. The pick is in.
Yeah.
So is this a trade or have they taken it? Let's have a wee look-see. Is this Harry Barnett?
A selection. All right. Who's it going to be, Pommy?
What's with these cameras, boys?
Well, there we go. That's
so Jacob Constanti, what a player, and he has gone a little bit earlier, and we did talk about him on the show last night. This kid is exceptionally talented. A goal kicker with a lot of pressure. He is a pressure guy. Former soccer player as well, and we always talk on this show how much I love a soccer player that plays AFL because his ability at working in space is unlike anything other. Great pick, and they've stolen my gag. I said last night he's a top Papley-like player. They're saying he's Tom Papley as well. So I agree with Cal Toomey on this one. He's a very Tom Papley-type player. And tell you what, it's just another quality small at a quality club.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You look at their general forwards. They got Heaney, Papley, Will Hayward's been kicking goals. Ryan Clark's been playing a defensive role up there. Sam Wicks. So I guess it kind of makes it, but they've got a lot of these types. I guess that's the benefit, right, of being a good young list that's just made a grand final. Whoever they picked, they were going to have plenty of players that can play that sort of role. So I don't hate it, and he provides some depth before he breaks into that side, and maybe he can be the difference maker, because I know they didn't have a lot of difference makers on the grand final date. Kudos to them for making it.
I want everyone to take notice of Sydney. This is where we're going to be. Very young list, and it's all about topping up and keeping that conveyor belt. And I don't mind this. I think it's a little bit early. It might shock some people, but definitely, like you say, they've got so close. Do you know what I mean? So close, but they failed at the final hurdle. This is going to be interesting. Are they looking now for that next game breaker, that X factor player that Constantly could be, that point of difference? It's a risk 3 thing, and he's a phenomenal footballer. And for Carlton's interest, how many father sons have we had? 4 academy picks. So we'll go to 22. Would I be correct?
That's a good question. I can probably answer that.
From memory, it's 4. I could be wrong. 3, 4.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, we've had 4 father sons or academies.
So we should go to 22. Would that be correct? They play it as the first round, don't they, day one?
Yeah. We should
So
be.
chance.
I think this should be the last pick. I think pick 22 is technically GWS's. Oh no, they made a trade, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's because the rule is
it
it's
should go to
everyone picks
22.
once, which is 18 minus father, sons, and academies. So
Yeah.
I'd say it'd be 21, 22. There you are. Look, hey, see, how good's this show? Look, they've just told you about his soccer. See, we don't need the IFL. We've got us. Don't need them.
Yeah. So it's very confusing, Pom, when they the draft track is not amazing on the AFL website either. I'll just say that. It's better than it has been, but it's not amazing.
But I'll tell you what, hopefully one day we have a whole team so I don't have to edit on the fly. But Constant is a good pick. Now, GWS, for Carlton fans, this is probably something that we have a look at, because I've always said I think GWS would be open to trading. I really do believe that because I look at their list and I think what they need is not quite here in this spot. So I think it's more of a punt for GWS than it needs to be. Where I think next year, if they can somehow get 2 or 3 picks in the first round, I think it really suits what GWS need to do. So it's going to be very interesting. They've taken a long time. Now,
surely they take a... You go, sorry.
Right. If I'm Nick Austin, I've got a very good relationship with GWS. Carlton and GWS have usually had very fair trades. They've always had fair trades. So that line of communication exists. He's also dealt with them at the Dogs as well, very fairly. So I'd be very intrigued to see here, does he call that favour? Because I think 29 and maybe a future third would really, really maybe salivate them. It would be very interesting to see what they do.
I'd love to see it. If they go to the draft, who do you think they take in? Like a Braden George, pair him up with Cadman?
Yeah, I think George, especially when you see his favourite players, Toby Green, makes sense. Right. They can wait on a year for him, I think.
The pick is in. Pom, doesn't look like it's been a trade.
One more chance, boys. Oh, Darcy Jones, what a pick. Tell you what, it's a little bit early, but this kid here is quick. Very quick. Usain Bolt type pace this guy has got. He is very elusive, very quick. And you know what? For GWS, when I talked about it's risky round here, I think it's risky to see if this kid can do it at the highest level because he's very slight, 175 and 60 centimeters and 64 kegs. I think that's very, very slight, and it's a big risk, I think. And that's why I've said next year is probably more beneficial to them. But if this goes right, it's a point of difference because I don't think GWS have anyone like this kid at their club.
No, he's an interesting option for them. He's going to get some highlights. He's a bit small. He's very light at the moment, so he's going to have to be crafty. Is it almost kind of a? I know, like, are they going to play him forward and use him as like a Bobby Hill replacement type player? What do we think?
I think he will play either across halfback or that, but he's quick. He's got some insane leaping ability. He's got some insane movement. I think he'll book the trend about size because of how crafty he is. But it's going to be interesting. What's happening now?
All right. It looks like we're going to pick 22, but the AFL Draft Tracker has that as being a second round pick.
I think that's it.
Is that it? Is that the end of the draft?
I think that is the end because
all right.
I'm pretty sure Lip read her say, thank you very much for watching. Good night.
That makes sense.
But there it is. So for those joining, Carlton ended up with our friend. We've got a new love of our lives. We've got Mr. Ollie Holland. What an acquisition. What's your thoughts, Black Dog?
Oh, mate, I'm really happy with Ollie Hollands. He's of the players that were going to get to us. I think he was top on my list. I had him ahead of a Bustling, and I didn't really have anyone else in that range. Was hoping maybe a Ginby or a Philippou might get to us. Obviously, that was really probably false positivity. But Hollands, no, I think he's going to be a high floor player with who's going to give us consistent performances. He's going to fill a role that we now have a little bit of depth in, but definitely have a need to improve on. And I think I'll jump on him as hard as I jumped on Jack Nunes back in the day.
Mate, I think he's going to be a fan favourite, a lovely kid. But I'm sure you'll join us tomorrow, won't you, Lack Dog?
I should do. I might be at work, but I should do.
Nah, fuck work, mate.
I'll be here.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I've had an absolute wonderful time, and we'll be back tomorrow for Carlton's second and third round picks, and maybe Nick Austin's working on pick 22.
We will see if he has a target. Let's just, before you jump off, hypothetically, who do you think's available that he would look at? George, Keeler, Husway, Houghton. Who would you look at?
I think Houghton would be very high up on Carlton's list. I think he's a point of difference that Carlton don't have in the forward line. So is George. I think there's two big things.
Yeah, I'd be looking at George as an upside pick if you were going to trade into that spot. But we will find out tomorrow, Pommy.
Everyone stay safe. Enjoy. Send Ollie Holland some love. Introduce yourselves on his socials. Let him know that he's very much loved. And hopefully we invite 2 more beautiful Blue Baggers to see us tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Go Blues.